You learn to live in the background. Not with resentment, not at first, just a quiet kind of resignation. The kind that makes you hold your breath before you walk into your own kitchen. The kind that teaches you to make your presence smaller, softer, easier to ignore. The kind that tells you, you're not a father, you're not a husband, you're an asset. And assets don't speak unless spoken to. That was my life. My name is Mark. I'm 48 years old. I live in a house just outside Tucson, Arizona, surrounded by dust, brittle cacti, and a silence that stretched longer than any road in the desert. I built that house up myself. Not the foundation, not the frame, but everything else. Every repair, every upgrade, every coat of paint. The mortgage was in my name. The utilities were paid from my account. The fridge was full because I kept it full. And yet, I was a guest in my own home. Diana and I had been together for 9 years. Her kids, Evan and Lily, were teenagers now, hardened by years of subtle disdain. Not toward life, toward me. They didn't hate me. That would have been easier. They simply ignored me. I was background noise. I was the flick of a light switch, the tap of a debit card, the hum of an engine starting when they needed to be somewhere. Their biological father? Long gone. A man-shaped memory dressed in nostalgia and revisionist fairy tales. No support, no visits, just a few carefully curated photographs in cheap frames and a couple of stories told in whispers like bedtime prayers. He used to read to me, Lily would say. He took us to the beach once, Evan would add. That beach trip was 15 years ago. The man hadn't sent a birthday card in 7. But still, he was Dad. Me? I was Mark. Not Dad. Not even stepdad. Just a placeholder. A utility with a driver's license and a working back. But I didn't press. I told myself I was being patient. That time would change things. That love was built, not given. And so I did the work, the invisible work. I paid the school fees. Fixed the AC when it broke in the middle of July. Bought Evan his first car. A beat-up Honda I spent weekends restoring with my own hands. I showed up to every parent-teacher conference, even when they barely looked at me. I stayed late at work so Diana didn't have to. When Lily needed braces, I rearranged our insurance plan. When Evan wanted to tour colleges, I cleared my schedule, booked the hotels, drove the car, paid the gas, smiled when he introduced me to the admissions counselor as just Mark. Not a word of thanks. Not a glance from Diana. Just more expectations layered on top of old sacrifices. I remember once, Lily came home crying because her friends made fun of her clothes. Diana panicked, pacing the living room like it was a hospital waiting room. I took my keys, drove 40 minutes to the nearest mall, and maxed out a credit card on name brands I couldn't pronounce. Lily smiled for a week. Then she forgot. But I remembered. I remembered all of it. The nights I stayed up late with spreadsheets trying to make the math work. The weekends I gave up so the kids could have theirs. The meals I cooked that went untouched. The birthdays I organized that ended with doors slammed in my face. The bills. God, the bills. I paid them like confessions. Quietly, without complaint. I never called myself their father. Never forced it. I didn't want to replace anyone. I just wanted to be seen. Not even honored. Just seen. But that's the thing no one tells you about thankless roles. They don't end with a thank you. They end with silence. Or worse, laughter. It happened on a Saturday. The sun was brutal, cooking the air outside until it shimmered. I was in the garage, fixing the dryer again. 3rd time that month. Diana was on the patio with her friends. Women I'd known for years but who never really looked me in the eye. I could hear them through the screen door, their voices light, their glasses clinking. Then Diana said it. Not in anger, not in cruelty, just casual, as if it meant nothing. Oh, he's just the guy who pays the bills. Convenient, right? Laughter followed. Not shocked laughter. Not awkward. Just agreement. Like I was a joke they all understood. A useful idiot. No one corrected her. Not one of them said my name. Not one of them said, "That's your husband." Or even, "That's not fair." They just laughed. I didn't drop the wrench. I didn't storm in. I didn't cry. I stood there for a long time, holding the socket set in my hands, and felt something small and sharp break inside me. Not a dramatic snap. More like a dry twig cracking under a boot. Quick. Irreversible. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't part of a family. I was part of a budget. Not a man. Not a father. Not even a partner. Just a line item on a spreadsheet labeled household income. I replayed her voice again and again. Just the guy who pays the bills. That's what I was to her. That's what I was to all of them. No one had said it until then, but they had always lived like it was true. I'd been too blind to see it, or maybe too hopeful to admit it. The kids didn't hate me because I was cruel. They dismissed me because I was easy, predictable, always there, always paying, always cleaning up. And Diana, she didn't disrespect me because she wanted to hurt me. She disrespected me because she could, because she knew I wouldn't leave, because I had spent 9 years showing her exactly how low I would stoop for a shred of connection. I went back inside. No one noticed. They were still laughing, still sipping white wine like life was simple. I sat in my office, closed the door, and stared at the framed photos on my desk. Lily in her first recital costume, Evan holding up his driver's license, Diana kissing my cheek at Christmas. All bought with my labor, all paid for in full. And in that silence, surrounded by memories that had been nothing but transactions, I made a decision. Not loud, not dramatic, just a decision. If they wanted me to be the guy who pays the bills, then I would be exactly that and no more. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam a door. I didn't even mention what I heard. That would have made it about the words, about the moment. But this wasn't about one sentence. It was about 9 years of being invisible until someone needed something. Then suddenly I existed. As a ride. As a paycheck. As the man who keeps the lights on. So I didn't argue. I moved in silence. That Monday morning, I woke up early. Earlier than usual. The sun hadn't crept over the mountains yet. The house was still asleep, bloated with weekend comfort and unconscious entitlement. I walked past their doors. Lily's room, walls plastered with posters I'd bought. Evan's room, door barely cracked, his sneakers scattered like he owned the place. I stood outside Diana's door for a moment. The air smelled like her perfume and laundry detergent. I didn't knock. I went to my office instead and turned on the computer. I didn't need a lawyer. I didn't need a fight. I just needed my login credentials. First, the credit cards. The one Diana used for household things, which really meant anything she didn't want to think about. Groceries, gas, Amazon purchases that arrived almost daily. Cancelled. Not frozen. Cancelled. Next, the joint account. I emptied it. Every cent transferred it to a private account I'd opened years ago and never touched. She'd never noticed the deposits I made there. Small, routine, like setting aside breadcrumbs in case the path home ever burned down. Then the car. The shiny new LEASE Diana drove like it was hers. In my name, of course. All the payments, the insurance, the registration, mine. I logged into the leasing company and scheduled a cancellation. I didn't even need the car back. Let them come take it. Let her explain it to her friends when it disappeared from the driveway. Last, I rerouted my paycheck. Straight to the private account. No more deposits into the joint. No more invisible fuel for a family that refused to call me family. All of it took 40 minutes. When I closed the laptop, the sun had started to rise. The house was waking up, clueless. I heard the floorboards creak. Evan's footsteps dragging toward the kitchen. Lily's phone buzzing. Diana's voice, soft, still half dreaming. I poured myself a coffee and sat outside. Watched the desert stretch open, dry and endless. It looked honest to me, barren, but honest. I didn't speak a word that day. The collapse didn't come all at once. It came in whispers, like the quiet unraveling of a poorly sewn seam. You don't notice until the thread is halfway gone. Started small. Diana tried to pay at the grocery store. The card declined. She thought it was a glitch. Tried again. Declined. She called me voice tight but polite. Hey, weird thing, the card didn't go through. Can you check? I was in the middle of a work call. I let it go to voicemail. She texted later. Everything okay? No mention of the patio. No mention of the joke. Just concern over the cash flow. I responded hours later. I'll look into it. I didn't. The car was next. She called while I was at lunch. Mark, they're saying the lease is in jeopardy. Something about non-payment. Did you forget to? I cut her off. No. Pause. No what? No, I didn't forget. I hung up before she could ask more. I didn't owe her an explanation. I'd already given her 9 years' worth. That night, she cornered me in the kitchen. Are you upset about something? I looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even defensive. She was confused. As if the idea that I might change the terms of this unspoken agreement, show up, pay up, shut up, was foreign to her. No, I said. I'm fine. She blinked. Then why? I shrugged. Nothing's changed. I'm just adjusting things, making them fit what I actually am around here. She stared at me like I'd spoken in code. And maybe I had. Because she didn't ask, what do you mean? She didn't say, you're my husband. She didn't even say, I love you. She just said, can you turn the Wi-Fi back on? I laughed. Couldn't help it. That's what broke her composure. Not the money. Not the account. Not the car. The Wi-Fi. The sacred thread that kept her kids scrolling and silent. Evan's got homework. Lily's freaking out. This is serious, Mark. I nodded. So am I. And I walked out. By Wednesday, the dam cracked. Evan sent a text. First message from him in 2 weeks. Just 4 words. We didn't mean it. I didn't reply. Lily posted something cryptic on Instagram. A black screen with white text. Transitions are hard. Some people forget your worth when you're not convenient anymore. I guess that was meant for me. I guess she thought it was clever. But it only confirmed what I already knew. None of this was about love. It was about interruption. They weren't mourning a stepfather. They were mourning the loss of a provider. Diana started to shift. Her tone softened. She sent messages laced with old sweetness. Can we talk? I miss you. Baby. Let's not let things spiral. The baby made me flinch. She hadn't called me that in months. Maybe longer. I read the messages. I didn't answer. I wasn't punishing her. I was honoring her definition of me. The one she gave to her friends. Just the guy who pays the bills. So I stopped paying. The thing that struck me wasn't how fast the house noticed. It was how none of them asked why. Not really. Not once did Diana say, what did I do? Not once did Evan or Lily say, did we hurt you? They only asked, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen to the groceries, the car, the data plans? What's going to happen to Evan's college trip, to Lily's phone upgrade, to Diana's wine subscription? As if the role I filled, the wallet with a face, had started glitching, and they were waiting for me to reboot. But I wasn't malfunctioning. I was waking up, and that's what terrified them. By Friday, Diana started probing. You're being really cold. Is this about something I said? I didn't flinch. Maybe. She rolled her eyes. Jesus, Mark. We were just talking. It was a joke. No one laughed like it was a joke. Her voice sharpened. You're blowing this out of proportion. I looked at her. And I swear, it was like looking at a stranger. She didn't understand. Not because she couldn't, because she never had to. And I realized, there had never been a version of this life where I mattered beyond what I gave. 9 years. 9 years of splitting myself in two to keep things running. 9 years of paying for a family that wouldn't claim me. Now the payments were stopping. And so was I. The first week passed like a bad dream no one wanted to admit was real. The Wi-Fi was restored by Lily eventually using a hotspot from her school account. The fridge stayed half-stocked. Diana started cooking again, not from love, but necessity. I watched them fumble through the basics like survivors after a storm, glancing toward me like I was some malfunctioning machine that hadn't rebooted. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I didn't say a word. I sat at the table with my coffee, paid only for myself now, and watched them learn how to navigate life without the man they never thought they'd lose. Diana changed first. At night, she started wearing perfume again. Her voice softened. Her hands lingered on my shoulder a moment too long. Texts started coming during the day, old phrases resurrected like corpses. Miss you. Thinking of you. Remember the beach trip? That beach trip was 5 years ago. I'd paid for the whole thing, down to the last sunburned dinner. I remembered it better than she did because I'd been the one awake at 2 a.m. treating Evan's jellyfish sting while she drank wine on the balcony. Still, I said nothing. Let her try. Let her twist the memory into something romantic. That's what they all did. Tried to repaint the past in prettier colors once the bills stopped getting paid. One night, she brought home takeout from my favorite spot. Set the table. Lit a candle. Said, "Just us." I sat down. Quietly. Halfway through, she smiled like she was winning. Feels nice, right? Just you and me. No stress. I set my fork down. Did you tell your friends who paid for this meal? Her face went still. I'm just wondering if I'm still the guy who pays the bills. Or if I've graduated. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her silence said everything. She wasn't trying to reconnect. She was trying to stabilize the asset. The kids followed in her shadow. Evan first, always the strategist. He sent a longer message this time. I know you're mad. I didn't mean it like that. We were just joking around. Can we talk? No apology. Just control. Damage mitigation. Lily was subtler. She started being nice. Not warm, just polite. Quiet greetings in the morning. Plate left out for me at dinner. Little gestures stitched together to mimic respect. None of it real. Just noise. She posted another story. This time a photo of our backyard. Sunset spilling over the dry grass. Caption. Some people only show up when they want to leave. Clever. I wanted to reply. I wanted to post my own photo. Of every receipt. Every invoice. Every credit card statement that built her little world. But I didn't. Because she wouldn't understand. Because she never had to. They were mourning inconvenience. Not me. It became clear when Diana finally broke the silence. She cornered me in the hallway, voice low, serious now. No more playfulness. No more seduction. This was the voice she used for hospital bills and expired warranties. I think we should talk. I leaned against the wall. We are. I mean, really talk. Okay. Silence. She didn't know what to say next. That was the problem. She thought this was about something I felt. But it wasn't. It was about something I saw. I saw the truth now, clearly, fully, and without flinching. She exhaled hard. Look, I know what I said sounded bad. But you know I didn't mean it like that. I didn't nod. I didn't shake my head. I let the silence sit on her like heat. We were drinking. It was a dumb joke. It wasn't a joke. Her eyes narrowed. It was to me. That's the problem. She stiffened. Mark, come on. You're taking one comment and rewriting history. No, I said. I'm letting one comment reveal it. Her voice cracked, the start of tears maybe or just defense. You really think I see you like that? I raised an eyebrow. Tell me who paid for Evan's braces. Tell me whose name is on Lily's tuition. Tell me how long you've had a job. I took care of things in other ways. Like what? She didn't answer. Exactly, I said. That was the last time we spoke for 4 days. But the house kept talking. Evan started asking questions at dinner about jobs, about summer programs. Lily hovered in doorways like a ghost. Diana stayed quiet, moved through rooms like they were unfamiliar. Then it happened, the moment I didn't expect. The thing that hit harder than any insult. A friend called. Not one of hers. One of mine. A man named Rob. Old friend from back east. We hadn't talked in months. But he'd heard through the grapevine that I was going through it. He didn't offer pity. He offered perspective. You were the only real adult in that house, Mark. I laughed, bitterly. Yeah. And look where it got me. No, seriously, he said. You showed up. You paid the price for everyone's comfort. They acted like you were optional because you made everything too easy. But if you disappeared tomorrow, that house would collapse. I went quiet. You gave them stability, he said. That's not sexy. That's not dramatic. but it's everything. I wanted to argue, to say I was weak, to say I should have fought more, but I couldn't, because deep down I knew he was right. They never feared losing me because I never made them imagine it. Until now. I walked through the house that night like a stranger, touched the doorknobs, looked at the photos on the walls. All of it financed by a man they never claimed. All of it arranged, maintained, and saved by hands they never respected. That's when I knew. This wasn't a family. It was a contract. An unspoken deal. You keep paying. We keep pretending. But I'd broken the terms. And the contract was void. The next morning, Diana stood at the doorway as I grabbed my keys. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Out." "Out where?" I smiled. "You don't ask that anymore." Her face crumpled. "Don't do this. Don't become cold just because." "I'm not becoming anything," I said. "I'm revealing what was always here." I walked past her, left her standing in the hallway of a house I had built, left her in the silence she used to enjoy before it became real. Because here's what no one tells you. The man who never asks for credit is the first to disappear when he's done being invisible. And once he's gone, the silence speaks louder than anything he ever said. I didn't leave in the middle of the night. I didn't pack in secret or sneak out like a man ashamed of himself. I waited until the house was empty, until Diana was at work, until the kids were gone, until the place returned to what it really was without them. Quiet, hollow, honest. I packed light, clothes, tools, paperwork, the things that belonged to me because I earned them, not because I financed someone else's comfort. I didn't take furniture. I didn't take photos. I left the framed memories on the walls where they belonged, evidence of a life that looked complete from the outside and functioned only because one man kept absorbing the weight. I locked the door behind me and didn't look back. The apartment I rented was small. No backyard. No echoes. No expectations. Just white walls, clean counters, and silence that didn't feel hostile. Silence that didn't wait for me to fix it. The first night I slept there, I didn't dream. I didn't wake up tense. I didn't reach for my phone to check bank alerts or messages filled with need disguised as affection. No one needed anything from me. That was the peace. Diana texted 3 days later. One sentence. "I hope you're happy." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply, because this was never about happiness. Happiness is cheap, temporary, something people chase when they don't want to face truth. This was about dignity. About learning the cost of being endlessly available to people who never once asked what it took from you. She texted again a week later, longer this time, talking about the kids, about how confused they were, about how hard things had become. She said she didn't recognize me anymore, that I had changed. She was right. I had stopped pretending. I heard through someone else that Evan had taken a job, that Lily had dropped an extracurricular, that Diana was looking for full-time work for the first time in years. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel cruel. I felt distant, like watching strangers navigate a storm you warned them about long ago. Funny thing, once I left, they started using my name again. Mark. Not him. Not the guy. My name. Like it suddenly mattered once it no longer opened doors. I never answered. Some nights, I sat alone on the edge of the bed and replayed everything. Not the insult, not the laughter, but the years before it. The times I ignored my instincts. The moments I taught them how to treat me by staying silent when I should have spoken. I don't absolve myself. I trained them to expect sacrifice without acknowledgement. That was my failure. But staying would have been worse. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. When a man's only value is what he provides, love becomes conditional. And once conditions replace respect, the relationship is already over. It just hasn't stopped taking payments yet. I didn't punish them. I didn't abandon anyone. I simply stopped subsidizing a lie. If I was just the guy who pays the bills, then I did the only honest thing left. I stopped paying. And in doing so, I finally became something else. A man who chose himself. So tell me, was I wrong? Or did I just leave when the silence finally said my name out loud? Would you have stayed?